how are you guys all doing? I hope everything is well. I have a cake for you guys today. I made this one for my best friend's grandma. Her family threw her a very beautiful and lavish Fiesta themed birthday party, and I had the pleasure of creating this cake for them. They were all very pleased with it, and I hope you will be too. Let's go ahead and get started. I start off by leveling all of my cakes. I normally don't do this because I love a really good height on my cake layers, and I do think that it's the best part of the cake, but I decided to trim off a little bit to get a flatter surface so that I can make sure that the cakes are leveled after icing them. Then you'll do a crumb coat around the tops and the sides of the cakes. I'm using a dowel rod or a skewer to help keep the cake in place. This is a small 4-inch cake and it sits awkwardly on my turntable, so I use the skewer as a support to hold onto it if I need to. It's not completely necessary to crumb coat your cakes. I've seen a lot of bakers go straight to just icing it, but I find that crumb coating gives it a better structure and grips the layers of icing so that you prevent cracking or any icing from falling off. So I'm just going to continue doing that for all of my tiers. So now I'm just using a small leveler to help level the cake out so that I can make sure that the tiers stand straight. I had to transport this cake, so to make sure that the cakes don't slide off the boards, I iced the tops and the bottoms of each cake. That's why you see me flipping them over, and you'll see me flipping them again. But also, this is just another way to make sure that the cakes are leveled and symmetrical. You gotta take into consideration that when you chill the cakes, they will settle a bit, so doing this will help out. After crumb coating each cake, I sat them in the freezer while I work on the next one. So now that my tops are now my bottom, I'm going to heavily ice the top. This is going to be my final coat, and once I got a good layer on the top of the cake, I lined it with some wax paper, and then I flipped it again. This flip method helps get a good clean edge around the cake. I've been using this flip method and it's been a real saving grace for me. I'm not a huge fan of these boards though. Right now it's kind of hard to find everything that I need because our stores are not fully stocked, so I had to get these on Amazon. They don't have holes in the center and they're a bit flimsy, plus they're not cut correctly. Usually I use the Wilton cake boards. They're cut just a little bit bigger because they take into consideration the width of the icing layer. This brand didn't, so it's not coming out as good as I'd like it to, but I'm working with what I could get and the flip method still worked for me. You're going to continue doing this for all of your tiers and keep them in the fridge or the freezer for at least 20 minutes. I chose the freezer because it's colder and will most likely keep the cake firm. Where I live, it's a bit humid, so the freezer helps keep the cake in shape without settling too much. I'm making all of my decorations by hand, so I started by creating little purple and gold flowers, and I'm using a little flower cutter and a flower petal stamp to get those little indent details, and then just a little bit of water to glue some sprinkles to the center of the flower. I always make more than I need just in case some break, but they last forever, so you can save any that you don't use for future cakes. So because this is a Fiesta themed cake, I am making some banner flags. All of the details were made by hand, and I did get some inspiration on Google for designs. And I used some push cutters, some piping tips, and other random cutters to help me create these designs. You could also find some really cool molds online if you really wanted a more sharper look and make it look more professional, but I really do enjoy doing this by hand, and decorations like this is my favorite part of designing a cake. I honestly don't know how I can describe to you what I'm doing here step by step. I just kind of let my imagination run. Definitely make sure you're prepared with some patience because they may not come out exactly how you envisioned, and you might need to even start over, but that just comes with the artistry of cake decorating. I wanted all of the banners to be different colors and different designs on the bottom tier, and all of the same colors and designs on the top tier. So I measured the cakes around and then divided it by 3-inch squares to see how many banners that I needed to fit around the cakes. So now I'm removing the wax paper off the tops of the cakes, and I'm also scraping off any ridges that are on the edges of the cake. I'm just using a little bit of water to glue the fondant pieces to the side of the cake. For this 4-inch cake, I needed 4 3-inch squares. I'm just using a flower tip tool to make holes in between the top of each banner to help grip the small flowers. And I'm just using water to adhere them to the cake, and then pushing them in slightly to make sure that they're secure. I'm using rolled up paper towel pieces to give these leaves a little dimension so that they're not sitting flat against the cake, and I left them on the cake overnight. I bought this little dust blower and these Fox neon marigold flowers on Amazon, and I'm just blowing them out to make sure that there's no dust or small pieces of material that might fall into the cake. They also come with these pretty long stems, but I ended up cutting them down so they're not sitting too far into the cake. I'm just doing the same thing for this cake that I did for the first one, removing the wax paper and filling in any gaps with extra buttercream to make sure that the surface of the cake is smooth. I really love doing this on a frozen or very chilled cake because it makes it easier for me to scrape off any excess buttercream without putting any dents or messing up the buttercream. So this is the last tier that I'm working on before I stop working for the day. I'm just adding all of the banner flags to the sides of the cake like I did the top tier, and then I will be putting these cakes back in the freezer overnight. The reason why I chose to put them in the freezer is because I want them to be very cold while I'm transporting this cake. Because I was going to be driving about an hour long, I didn't want the icing to droop or any of the fondant pieces to fall off or anything to happen to the cake in general. However, it is important to note that especially when you're working with over-the-counter fondant, especially the dark colors like this purple one, it may start to sweat or drip down the side of the cake. It is an easy fix. You just use paper towels to absorb any moisture. However, if you don't want to worry about it, you may feel safer keeping it in the refrigerator instead. Again, I had a semi-long drive and was transporting it in a small vehicle, and I also transported the cake separately and stacked it there. I just wanted to make sure that the cakes were very chilled while working with it because it is a buttercream cake made with pure butter, so it has a higher chance of melting. I made it to my destination and all 3 of my cakes made it all in one piece. So now I'm adding bubble straws to the bottom and the second tier to give it support so that the cakes don't fall into each other. I'm also putting some dots of buttercream to help glue the tiers together so that they don't wobble. You don't want the bubble straws to sit too high up, otherwise the cake might not sit straight on it. So you want them to be somewhat flush, that's why I'm cutting the tips off. When I first got there, I did put them in the refrigerator for a good 20 minutes just to make sure that they're still very chilled, and all of the buttercream was still very firm, which was great. So when I add the tiers on top of each other, you don't want your fingers to hit the buttercream. So I kind of place the cake where I want it to sit, and I just kind of gently drop it down so that it sits where it needs to be. You can skip this process if you want to, but I just wanted to make sure that the cakes were sitting flush against the cake. So I added a little bit of buttercream before applying my ribbon to make sure that the ribbon doesn't move around. Where I live, getting edible images is hard now. It's hard for me to find unless you order it online. It was a last minute decision, so I just printed out her picture on some sticker paper and then applied it to some gum paste. I didn't realize that the camera wasn't recording, but I inserted a dowel rod down the center of the bottom and second tier, and because there were no holes in the cake boards, I made sure to make a hole before starting the cakes. And then I applied the top tier on top of the rod through the hole. That way you don't disrupt the flowers on the top or have to take them off. And I just repeated the process with the ribbon like I did for the bottom tiers. And just as a side note, I did use some cocktail sticks to hold up the image. That way it didn't slide down the side of the cake, and I left them in there for several minutes until the image was completely set. I'm not that great with my piping skills, I'm still learning, but I did add some piping to the side of the second tier to give it kind of like a Mexican themed border. Now I'm just adding some embellishments to decorate the cake with. I'll just let the video speak for itself. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. My BFF and I really liked how it came out, and it looks so beautiful sitting on their beautifully decorated table. Funny enough, I was asked by another friend to create this cake, and it was another Fiesta themed cake for a 1-year-old little girl. So if you'd like to see how I created this one, please make sure to like this video and comment down below the word yes. If I get 20 likes, I'll make sure to post this video tutorial as well. I really appreciate all of you who have been supporting my videos. I've been getting a lot more views, likes, and subscribers. You guys are seriously the best, and I appreciate all of you who have taken your time to watch my videos. I have a lot more ideas coming soon, and I can't wait to share them all with you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay shining bright, and I will be seeing you guys again very soon. Take care. Bye, guys.